on in.
All right. Look at that. So a 3,000-mile Super Jeep.
Never seen one in person.
Chompy. This is not Southwest. One touch. Hang on, it gets better.
Oh, it's got a blackout shade.
And that's how you keep it cool when it's on the ground.
Nice.
Let's go. Come on, permanent child safety lock.
I know.
Thank you. All right, guys. This is a surprise day. We're not actually going on a buy.
What?
Yep. We're taking a day off.
Well, let me go park. I thought I was valeting.
Nope, you can do whatever you want to do. Go ahead and park it. We'll get on a jet and let's see some killer muscle cars.
Great flight. That is not made for tall people.
Well, guys, we normally drive to the middle of nowhere for a rescue. Today we flew to the middle of nowhere. Great flight, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Outstanding.
Enjoyed it.
Did pretty good for an amateur. Just kidding. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having us again.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming back. How are you
Round
guys?
two. I guess you guys can figure out where we are now, huh?
I know.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Howdy, howdy.
Good to see you.
You bet.
Awesome, awesome. Great
Howdy,
flight.
howdy. Hi there.
Hey, Wayne.
Hey, buddy.
Long time no see.
How you doing? Hey, like your hat.
Oh, yeah, I got it from a cool guy.
I guess you guys have figured it out because Mr. Wayne Schmeeckle, we're going to see his muscle cars today. There you go. There's your surprise.
Yeah.
You picked a great day.
That was beautiful.
Did you see all the snow coming over?
We did. Took some pictures of
You
it.
can see the
An hour
line.
away, they had like 4 foot of snow.
You can see the line.
Yeah, it's pretty cool,
Crazy.
but we missed it.
That's the first.
Right?
That's the first snow we've seen this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's noon Texas time. Do you guys want to go eat first? Otherwise, are you going to get growly?
We're on your schedule.
No, I want to do what you guys want to do, but I mean, it seems like if we go over there, it'd be kind of late lunch.
I'm open.
And I know you
I'm
know
open
how,
for either one. Are you
I know
hungry,
you know
sir?
how to eat.
I'm pretty good at it. I'm gonna do the bison burger. I think I'll go with a black peppercorn,
How do you want your patty cooked?
medium rare.
And fries for your set?
That'd be great, and no bun.
Okay.
I just want a regular hamburger. No cheese, no onion.
Okay.
Zach, I think it's gonna be easy for best appetizer bite.
That's what I heard.
Totally. Beef tenderloin tip,
Mushrooms look good.
mushroom with Brussels sprout.
Yeah.
All 3 of those together.
The
Right up your alley, Alex.
Oh yeah.
Brussels sprouts and mushrooms.
You see Alex and I are reaching for that.
do you want to keep your signature? It's good on pizzas, on burgers, all the things.
All right, bison burger. That's what the area is famous for, is bison.
Probably came from Rocky Mountain Natural Meat right up the road.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Good old Bob.
All right, Bob, here's one for you at Rocky Mountain.
Oh, thank you. And then I'll get these appetizers. Just to thank you. Is there anything else I can get for you?
I don't think so.
Wow, that's great.
That's good.
All right, well, enjoy, gentlemen.
Yeah.
You too, Zach.
That was delicious.
All right, the MAV in Fort Morgan. Right, Wayne?
Yes.
We're in Fort Morgan. I got to make sure I get that right. Definitely get the bison burger. It's
Prime rib.
produced in this area.
Prime rib is awesome.
So is the prime rib. Fort Morgan, the MAV, get the bison. So I've got my boots on today, which I'm really enjoying. The whole team is wearing them. Alex, Sean, Anthony, James have all got the steel toes. These are waterproof. These are Texas steer leather, and they're incredibly comfortable. Right when they come out of the box, there's no painful braking time with these, and they've got its own brunt cushion on the inner sole. They're fantastic. Just incredibly comfortable boots. Now, if you're thinking about trying a new pair of boots and you don't want the painful break-in time, this brand Brunt is specifically designed for blue-collar working guy that wears them every day, doesn't need the break-in time, doesn't want clunky boots. So right out of the box, I put these on. They're super comfortable. I love them. And they've also got a free trial and free shipping, so why not try them? And they also, in my opinion, they look great. Coffee Walk might look easy, like it's all fun and games, but James and Sean and Alex and Zach and Anthony work really hard. I'm glad they've got steel toe boots now. Fantastic. Use code CoffeeWalk10 for $10 off your first order of $60 or more. Alex, we need to clean up our engine room.
I would say so.
Look at this. Just right at the front door.
That's all
Holy moly, man.
all aluminum 427 Yenko motor.
Aluminum block.
Car motor or Can-Am motor?
I think that's just your regular car motor.
Okay.
If you can call it a regular car motor.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it that, but
Nice and close.
some of the ones that I have run up on and actually owned, once we tore into them, they were Can-Am motors. Tough to find a car motor. Right off the bat, some super rare stuff. And another
No
Yenko
replacement to displacement.
That's right.
Just a cool brand too. The Yenko brand itself.
It's a
It's
Hemi.
neat.
Is that a Hemi?
That is a Hemi. So the backstory on the Yenko memorabilia, we had a lot of Yenkos at one time. We sold some of that stuff when we started that gun range project.
Right?
So, there's different collectors had started, collecting some of this memorabilia. And then we was able to get it from those collectors. Like, over here, this is all Yenko's clothes. This was his, the gal that worked in his office. That was Donna May's outfit. The rest of these were all Don Yenko's outfits. Like here's his telephone from his main facility there, which is pretty cool. There's all the different extensions for all the different people.
Let's just see if I recognized anybody. I don't think so. We've got Lori, Betty, George, and Eve.
You got Don and Frank, that's the two Yenkos themselves.
Very cool.
And then Gary was talking about, here's some of the old home movies that they had. That I haven't even looked at any of those yet. And then this is kind of a neat picture. This is actually the airplane that he crashed when he was actually killed. But recognize that name there? Who did the artwork on it?
Wow, Larry Shinoda from
Yeah,
GM.
that's pretty cool. And then he also, if you Google him, he had something to do with the Ford Mustang also.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
Shinoda left
Just a little.
GM on the Corvette and then went to the Boss Series cars, right?
That's right. Yep.
So Yenko got him to figure out, hey, how do we want to stripe, his plane? And so that was kind of a neat. They were doing some different, and that's how it ended up looking.
So Shinoda signed that in '68 too. That's right when he left GM, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that is really cool. I noticed the Stinger shirt. That's got to be rare.
Yep.
I've had a lot of Corvairs, but I don't think I've ever had a Yenko Stinger Corvair. There you go, Sean. That's something for you to aspire to.
Well, if you noticed, I put the stock Steelies with the dog dish hubcaps on that Corvair. I was kind of going for that Yenko look in a weird way.
That was a race seat.
Is that a Porsche?
I think it was actually in probably one of the Camaros or the Corvairs.
You would move it from car to car.
Pretty sure it's a speedster seat.
And then over here is some other neat stuff. You talk about the Corvair stuff. I mean, down here in the whole bottom row is all their Corvair stuff, and there was their turbo they put in, the different units. Here's the newspaper article when he was actually killed, and then the from the funeral. Here's his pilot's license. So it's pretty cool, all the stuff that they were able to put together. This sign in the back was something that they would take to the different shows when they were promoting the Yenkos. But the next one over here is some really cool stuff that I get a kick out of. I mean, back in the days, they had to do such a better job on marketing. You only had a minute for that person to come in, and you had to try to sell them on, here's a brochure, here's some goodies we'll give you. Now we go online and we do all that research, but back in the day, you had to try to keep that person engaged or keep them interested. So you had all these handouts, which is kind of cool.
That's super cool.
And then look at some of the sign checks down below there. Don Yenko sign checks for different items.
This is something you're definitely probably not going to get at the dealership these days, a packet of matches.
Yeah, matches.
Probably not.
How cool is
Or
that?
or ashtrays.
ashtray.
Yeah.
That might be a good idea to bring that back.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Ice scrapers. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Wow.
But then probably the best part of the whole collection, this is wild. So this was Don's paperwork on the cars. Like for example, this is on the Chevelles. This has a list of all the different cars. For example, you know, here's like all the Camaros, and then you have a list of all the VIN numbers of all the cars.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty cool. Also,
Yeah, I would say.
also, I was thinking this is kind of neat. Okay, here's who the super dealers in '67. So in Colorado, we had Burt Chevrolet. You guys in Texas, who did you have? So you in Dallas, you had Johnson Chevrolet. I don't know if they're still around. If you ever heard of
No,
that.
they're not.
But that was that's who. And then so this is in '67, and then we have the book on the '68s and '69s, and then over here you have the Deuces that has all the original paperwork, and then you had the
Corvair program.
the Corvair program also. Yeah. So I mean that stuff, you know, we keep that locked in a safe, but that's about as cool as it gets in a Yenko collector world. Yeah.
So you've got the serial numbers to all the 67 Yenko Camaros and 68s.
69
There were a bunch of 69.
Chevelles. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
What's the rarest out of all those?
67.
Yeah, 67 would be.
That's what I
Yeah.
would've
50, roughly 85 approximately in 68, 200 then in 69, and 1.
How many in 67?
50, well, 50-ish, 50,
Can I see
a
that?
couple
Yep.
more over 50.
How many are not located of the
I think
67s?
more than half of them. The supercar registry has a pretty good account of all that.
So here's how they're spec'd out. Then here starts with all the VIN numbers. I don't know what this means over here as far as why they have these different people's names. Haven't quite figured that out. So this is actually showing 107. Is that what you said, Gary?
Is that the 69s then, or?
I think this is 67.
So they inventoried more cars than they turned into Yenkos.
Okay. Copy that.
So that might have been all of their 67 Camaros for that year. So we
Yeah.
did 601, which was the first ever Yenko Camaro. Wayne owned it at one time, and but we restored it for another customer. The first 5 or 6 or so cars were SS 350s. So when they put a 427 in, it caused a lot more work. Then they stopped and started the numbering system all over again at 7, and those cars had to be a big block to start with. So the springs and the radiator, the shroud, the heater core, all that stuff was big block unique. So the first few cars, we have 604 in our shop right now as well. They're kind of unique cars, you know, because they started out as a small block.
Then they started going to the YS system too, you know.
Yeah.
Like so, this is Donna Mae. This is actually Don's personal secretary. So here she's, you know, kind of explaining what it was all about, which you're welcome to read that. And then they start getting into all the numbering system and then where they each went.
Wow.
And then it goes on a little bit further there too.
This is really cool because the handwriting is really fun to see, right? It's just not a compiled thing on a computer. It's a lot of handwritten stuff.
And I see different correspondence to this Wally Parks with the NHRA. You know, they're explaining what they're doing as far as with the cars.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You know, Don's writing that letter.
Yeah, there's still all that communication is still going on with Copo and the
Yep.
and what's
Yep.
with the Camaros right now.
I mean, one of these days I just need to take the time, take these to a print shop, you know, and print some of this and be able to have it available. But for right now, you know, we're the gatekeeper of, I guess, that information.
That is amazing. Wow. I know who to call if I find a Yenko to know if it's real or not.
That's right. So come on in, watch your step. Bathroom right there.
The toys. Oh, I don't have this pinball. Viper.
That's a fun one. Then over on this wall, this is just some of the Chrysler memorabilia. I mean, talk about all of those companies did a great job on all the little give outs that they did for the dealers. But that's been fun to collect that stuff from different collectors. And then, every once in a while, even today, I'll still find something we don't have on eBay. Most of the time, that stuff just becomes available. When there's an estate or a death or a divorce, that's kind of how that stuff trade hands again. So this is on the Mopar side, and then the next one is actually Chevrolet. Then we have a Ford in the back, and then the Hearst over on the other side. But all that memorabilia just kind of ties back into the whole muscle car collecting, which is kind of fun.
It's cool to kind of delve into some of the smaller supercar dealers. I think I had a little bit of egg on my face when I found that Scunsio Z28, that I wasn't familiar with them, but as looking in, the Northeast was pretty heavy on supercar dealers.
Yeah, Baldwin.
Even some of the small dealerships were doing it.
Yep.
Pretty neat.
Yep.
Berger or Berger, however you want to pronounce it.
Yep. And that's what you have on that whole wall over there. That was all the supercar dealers under Chevrolet. You had Nicky's, Dana out of California, Yenko, Douglas out of Chicago, Berger, then Motion. So a lot of the signs we have are real signs, but those are all fantasy signs, except for the Chevrolet sign. That was actually a sign that was on the Chevrolet factory, but everything else are fantasy signs. But it kind of tells that whole story of the supercar era of the day.
That's it.
So this part of the building is, we have kind of the Mopars on this side, we have some of the Fords in the middle, and then the General Motors on the other side.
Well, Alex, what do you want to start with? Or Wayne, what do you want to start with? This is going to be Alex's pick right here.
So that is my second muscle car. I mean, that's why I liked it so much. Kind of the backstory. The first car is the 2000 Viper over there.
Okay.
Before that, I drove a company pickup, and me and my wife Robin, we invested in some Intel stock. It had a nice run up, and pretty soon I have an $80,000 profit. And so I thought, how cool would that be to buy a car and say, I got that car for free?
Yeah.
And so we bought the 2000 Dodge Viper. We had Woodhouse deliver it out of Blair, Nebraska, delivered it to us. And so then I'm standing in line at the grocery store, and there's a magazine rack there, like there used to be. All our information came from the magazines. It didn't come from the computer. And so I see an article about the Hemi Cuda, or the Viper is the Hemi Cuda of its day. And so then I got to thinking, well, hey, how cool would that be to have one of each? Have the Viper, then have the Hemi Cuda. So that's what started it all in 2000. And then we got into the Yenkos. We got to buying quite a few nice muscle cars. And then the gun range happened, and so then needed some extra cash, and so then we had Meekum sell a big group of cars for us in 2016.
Are you going to build it back to that size again?
I mean, we probably have more now than we had even back then, but
Really?
they're spread out.
Okay.
No, I think anytime that probably as well as anybody, you run out of space.
Correct.
You either run out of money or you run out of space.
We're constantly battling that. Both.
Yeah, and that's why we have hoists, because it gives you a little bit extra capacity.
Start going up.
Gary's shop, he has a double hoist like this, and so we built him a 2-story in his whole shop. In fact, that's one of the things when I was cleaning my shop yesterday, knowing you guys are going to come, I'll show you a little addition we did over there where you could actually increase your floor space by having the hoist go up and then have the car get off the hoist. We drew that we fabricated it next door in our fab shop, but I'll show you that. That's pretty cool. Maybe give your fans an idea.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Well, this is impressive. You've done this for 24 years.
The
The four-wheel drive collection was incredible to me because that stuff is so hard to find.
we were talking about restorations the other day. Like this Roger Gibson restoration, it's got to be 24 years old now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to think about that when we bought this around in 2000, but how just how nice it still looks.
8,427 original miles.
And that was crazy that a guy
Had it restored.
a mechanic had bought it, and he wanted to get it restored. He had Roger start it, and then when he was done, then we went ahead and finished it.
The first question everybody asks, does it have a broadcast sheet?
Yeah.
But some reason, sometimes it drives me crazy because not all these cars had them. And we've taken cars apart, and I'm sure you have too, that had a stack of them in it.
Right. Other cars, yeah.
But what I love about a Hemi car is all you got to do is look at the VIN tag.
Well,
I'm not saying that's not all you have to do to authenticate it, but it's an R code. It
tells you it's a Hemi. It might not tell you that what kind of wheels it had or if it had a spoiler or something, but that was GM didn't do that until '72, and Ford was doing it all along. You know, R code, everyone knows what an R code is. Yeah, that was a smart way of doing it.
It's also nice that Kevin Marty's got all the Ford stuff.
That's really good.
You can't go get any of this. You just have to be lucky enough to have it.
That's right.
And of course, you got the cow letter and the core support and rear quarter. That makes these cars.
You can forensically do a pretty good job if you have
can.
a decent car. If you don't have a broadcast sheet, but that's.
All right, 340 Duster.
That's a Survivor. It's a little bit higher mileage Survivor. What's it say, Gary? 60,000 miles?
64, yeah.
64,000 miles. But I mean, both my older sisters had these, and they're just so cool. You know, this one's kind of neat where I actually had the. Is that a 3-speed or 4-speed in this one?
4-speed. I think it's a 4-speed.
4-speed, yeah. But they just had a cool look to them. You know, they're a little bit cheaper car.
That's one of my favorite things in a muscle car. And Alex has heard me say this so many times, he's tired of hearing it. Console delete.
Yeah.
Console. I love that.
No, I agree.
That's just so clean. That is so cool.
That's what it was all about right there. 4-speed.
Consoles drive me crazy. I've taken consoles out of cars I probably shouldn't have.
Back on the wall there, you actually had Grand Spalding. They actually had theirs, that Demon. You know, that was for $3,300. It's pretty interesting.
Well, this car is one of those cars that we're talking about at lunch. I mean, me standing here looking at this car, I'm going to guess this car is a sub 20,000 mile car.
But somebody just took good care of it. Yeah, you know.
How many people took care of their Duster like that?
Very few.
Correct.
And you can't afford to do a $100,000 or $150,000 restoration job.
No.
And that's what we find, like our main core business, which this is what I love, are the Jeep CJs. But people didn't buy CJs to treat them like a Ferrari.
No.
So when we come up on a Survivor one, we get pretty excited about it.
No, I agree. We were working in Milwaukee, and I found that on Deals on Wheels, one of the magazines, and so got a hold of the guy. He was retiring as a sheriff. Let me grab this book of paperwork.
I'm just going to guess in that car, but I'm going to miss it. Do you know what it is?
I do not.
I know he knows what it is. Is that Winchester Gray?
I believe that is.
Winchester Gray.
It is? Okay.
That's right.
So the paperwork, this guy, I mean, he was just adamant on just how great a paperwork. He kept on it. You know, that was the name right there. You know, he bought it. It's interesting to see when they used to make mistakes, how they'd have to kind of put a little piece of paper back over it to hide it. So he paid $3,900 for that in the middle of 1971.
So is that pre-liquid paper?
Yeah. And then he was this is even how he kept track of all the fuel and everything he put into it.
We have, generally when we see this often on some of the 911s and 912s we buy.
Look at the information.
Those guys date everything.
That page, I mean, where he's keeping track of
what he paid for it.
What he paid for it and the ID number,
So it's an income,
where he bought it.
383 car.
And then he starts getting into when he changed the oils.
Well, that's the kind of car you want to buy right there.
Yeah.
The guy's probably an engineer.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, rarely do you see a window sticker, that's for sure.
Yep. But that's just neat, you know, on these Survivors. And then they even had, you know, he kept all the original brochures. I think this one even he had scribbled what he wanted for accessories. The brochure's kind of falling apart. I think this is the one where he had actually.
That just means he looked at this thing a million times.
Yeah,
until
yeah,
got his
he wore it,
car.
yeah.
He was waiting on it.
Yep. Then just all the different paperwork. And then it had numerous build sheets in it. I think there's 1, 2.
Are they all for this car?
I think so, yeah. It's incredible.
That's very
I
unusual.
think there would be 5 of them,
N1B 3821.
but normally they didn't all make it in there.
21. I've never seen that many. Huh, what's the most we've ever seen? 2? Have we seen 3?
And then he kept track of all the other stuff. But
What do you two guys think about the comparison of the 71? We'll just go to the top of the heap. 71 Hemi Challenger compared to a 71 Hemi Cuda with the same options. Let's just,
Oh, you mean
Because-
the price difference in it?
well, for a long
how they
time,
look?
everybody was just chasing the Cuda.
Yeah.
The Challenger's a little bit rare.
I prefer to look at a Challenger myself.
You know what, we literally were talking about that on the plane today, and 10 years ago, I wouldn't have said that.
You're right.
But I got to meet, or maybe 15 years ago, but early on, I got to meet some of the styling guys on the new Challenger. I'm like, why did you guys go with the Challenger and not the Cuda? A lot of people say it's because of the name, Dodge. No, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
He said, we sat there and looked at the cars, and to us as design guys, aesthetically, the Challenger, it's a more difficult car, but it's a better design body.
Right.
Love that. But I'm just curious, I think it's kind of shifted a little bit.
Yeah, they're kind of catching up, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's been.
They've always lagged way behind the Cuda.
You know,
And I think the numbers are a lot less
Yeah.
on the Challengers, aren't
They are, yeah.
So when we bought that 70 Hemi Cuda from Roger Gibson, he was doing also at the same time a Challenger. So I had a choice of the orange Challenger with no shaker hood or the Hemi Cuda with the shaker hood. It had real low miles, the other one had been restored. They were both perfect cars. If I could go back in time and if I could ever come up with the money back then, I wish I would have bought them both, but I only got that one. But I like the look of the orange Challenger. When I asked Roger, I said, what would you recommend? He said, well, your money's always going to be the best with the Hemi Cuda.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I agree with that today. You know, the Challenger is probably a rarer car.
It still might hold an edge, money-wise, but maybe.
I think they're going to get close to even up.
Wasn't this your first muscle car?
It is, well, besides this.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, right.
Yeah.
The first classic era muscle car
Yeah.
was the Cuda.
So this is the Viper that started it all.
It is. And so, Heather, I was telling these guys pulling out of the airport. So me and Robin decide to buy this, and they deliver it. It's in the afternoon. It's not quite dark. And so we drive out from my house. I'm pretty close to the airport. We drive out, we pull into the airport, and then Robin wants to drive it back. And so that's fine. So I get in the passenger seat, she gets in, we get all buckled in, and she starts coming out of the, you know, the T coming out of the airport that you were just on.
Right.
And pretty soon she starts screaming, and I don't know what's going on, but you know, she's used to driving a Suburban that has a brake pedal about that large. So she came off the gas, went over, and there was no brake. And so then I'm not, you know, figuring out what's going on. I should have grabbed the emergency brake, but I don't know what's going on. So she comes up to the road, and luckily there's not a cattle truck coming, and she turns about 30 miles an hour and makes the corner. And so once we finally settled down, we got to giggling, saying, you know, remember when we got the boys four-wheelers, the first thing we'd say is, before you make it go fast, make sure you know how to make it go slow. But anyway, we almost wrecked it, and it had maybe 5 miles on it.
Oh, wow.
So now we get into the Fords, and I love this way this shows red, white, and blue. You know, that's pro USA.
Agreed.
This one came from Colin Comer and had it for a while, and also did Bob Perkins had him for a while. Being in 1970, only 1,600 miles on the Boss. I mean, we've taken it to the shows a few times, and it is considered, you know, one of the nicer Survivor Boss 302s with just 16,000 original miles.
Have the rear seat belts been in the plastic the whole time?
As far as I know, yeah.
Wow, I'd love to see that. We've been lucky enough to find some CJs like that, but I don't think we've had any muscle cars like that, have we?
Right.
Wow. Rear slats are kind of rare.
Yeah.
They'd make it not very fun to clean your back window, though. I did notice that when I was cleaning it.
Can I open this?
Yep. There it is.
God, look at the 16,000 mile unrestored Boss 302. Oh, he's got all his paperwork here with the cars. The original order sheet. Let's see what options. 4-speed. These were not all 4-speeds. Space saver spare. Medium blue metallics color. Rear deck spoiler. Detroit locker. Rear diff. It does have a tack, which, believe it or not, was an option on these cars. So Gary, what do you think about the tack being an option on these cars? Would you think they should all have a tack?
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? But I think the guys that bought these cars at this point in time, they already had a reputation for not trusting them.
So they
So
would put
save the money, they put their own tack. Get a sun tack, right?
Okay.
So that'd be the way to go, save the money and,
I learned that today.
Yeah.
Because to me, I'm thinking a Boss 302, like a DZ 302 Camaro should have
this is
a
a
tap.
Rever, no doubt.
Before we move on, I got to point something out over here you'll get a kick out of. So they used to do the Mopars at the mansion. And so you'd get invited to take cars to the Playboy Mansion. We are involved in a big heavy project and I couldn't get away. We had 2 cars that got invited to go there. And so my one son had just turned 21, Lucas just turned 21, my other son had just turned 23, and so they took the cars out there with the driver.
But you're a cool dad.
So, you can look at some of the pictures there, you got Hugh Hefner in the background. But yeah, that was, that's back before cell phones, but so they did find a payphone and they did call me and tell me, hey, yeah, this is pretty cool. But these are the photos that are G-rated, and these are the photos that are probably R-rated. But anyway, it shows. But what was so funny after when they came home, they said, you know, next year, Dad, we don't really have to probably send the muscle cars out there. We could probably just rent a car we'll fly out to LA. We could just probably rent a car and take it to the mansion because nobody really cared about the muscle cars. There was more scenery there.
You know, Shelby did a lot of stuff with Hugh Hefner back in the day in Playboy.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
But they had all the cars out on the front lawn. So we did that 2 different times, and so that was kind of
Alex,
fun.
you missed that.
Yeah, it's over.
That's over. That's game over.
What are you talking about?
This is Colin Comer's car that I got from him. In fact, Colin's got the first rider to get it back. The story on the bottle is it was in the door. That, you know, it actually says it's rattling, but I think really it wasn't the door, the window wouldn't go all the way down, right?
Yeah, we found that in there. I
Yep.
don't remember what we were doing to the car exactly, but somehow it was in the quarter panel area.
Yep.
Yeah, behind the door.
But that was kind of interesting. You find an old vodka bottle that the factory guys left in it.
I've heard stories of the people shoving their sandwiches back there
Oh,
at,
yeah.
at the end of Friday, and the car's smelling when we got to the dealership. But I don't think I've ever seen a vodka bottle inside a door.
What was kind of neat on the paperwork, this was actually sold by Phil Long Ford. You know, they're still right here in Colorado. But I got a kick out of was what he traded in on it. He traded a 1966 Jaguar. So you go from a Jaguar to this Boss 429. I mean, that had to be a little bit of difference.
Culture
I mean,
shock.
just how it handled. But it was interesting. It was $4,900, but he actually got $3,100 for the Jaguar, so his difference was only $1,800.
Yeah, E-type Jags were never cheap, and they still aren't.
Yeah, but another one of those cars that had just great paperwork. That's what I really love when you have that kind of paperwork that tells the story.
Wow. Where the money is, we didn't pop the hood on the Hemi Cuda, but
That's what's amazing, what you could get in just the hoses and, you know, some of the components on these Boss cars, how much that
Really
costs.
expensive, yeah.
Yep.
I saw you had another motor behind it.
Yeah, just for display, you know, it's kind of neat to see actually how wide it is, that engine back behind there. Are you going to use that on one of the projects or not?
So we were we planned to use this on the Ranchero Bonneville car that was a Ford effort, and we thought originally that it was a Bill Strock car and that they had a Boss 429 in it. But we put a little short video out that nobody watched, but the grandson of the guy that drove the car at Bonneville. So it turns out this Ranchero we bought, which we thought it is a cool car, all painted in the Strock colors. Turns out it was the Autolite 2, which was a Ford factory effort to have the world's fastest truck.
wow,
And so
okay.
it turns out it actually had a camera motor when it was new. And with that guy's help, we found some actual photos of it, and we have all the paperwork for what Ford was going to do. So we were going to use this Boss 429, but it turns out we got the real history on it and a camera. So now we've got a...
In its later life, Strop did buy it, and then he used it as their parts vehicle, just to run around to go get parts. Would
Yeah.
they put a 390 in it? Would it had?
yeah.
Very cool.
Back behind you here, then just some cool Ford memorabilia. You know, they had like these clocks, was in the parts room. You had the different muscle parts. It's just Cool, and that's Linda Vaughn right there. I mean, that was a press release. That's pretty cool.
It is neat. I mean, you usually see her associated with Oldsmobile, but
Yep.
obviously that was her association with her shifter.
Yep. And we'll get to that over there. We have a whole display of her stuff over there.
I'm pretty sure that's a real Boss 429 battery there.
That's the kind of thing that kind of gets rented around when you're going to go get.
Yeah, if you're trying to get
Yeah.
the top show.
Is it
Yeah.
Thoroughbred the top thing now?
Thoroughbred, yeah.
Thoroughbred's top.
Yeah.
It's like these boss cars, which obviously you know the guys.
Yeah.
The reason you can't get the parts is about 4 guys bought them all.
That have them all.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you know who you are.
That's right.
So you're going to pay one of them or the other
Right.
one. I'm not saying it's not a good business model. I'm just saying
Yeah. Well, that's
that
a good
market's
one.
already been cornered.
We know you're getting old.
Yeah, so start turning loose of some of that stuff at a reasonable price.
Then the next one behind you is kind of a cool story too. So in 2005, Ford was coming out with a new Ford GT. And so there was more dealers than there were cars to go around. So you actually had to get a little ticket or lottery. So over here in Julesburg, Colorado, it was called Stone Motors. They got the ticket that they could buy a car, and they were going to buy a red one because it's going to be they're so close to Nebraska. And so I heard about it. I talked to the salesman. And I said, "Well, change it to silver, and I'll try to buy it." And so we made a deal on it. And they said, "Well, part of the deal is you have to leave it in our one-room showroom for 2 weeks, so we could advertise, come to town and see a Ford car that costs as much as a four-wheel drive John Deere tractor does."
Okay.
So after 1 week, they called me and they said, "Hey, come get it. The sheriff's tired of it. The sheriff's tired of having to guard this all night long. Just come get it." So then I drove down there and I got it. I brought it back to here, and I only had 3.9 miles on it. It had only 3.9 miles forever. And then when they went from 185, they got up to around 300,000. I thought, man, this is a good deal. I'm going to get rid of it. And so I sold it to Mark Pelock with American Muscle Car back there in Florida. He was getting one of every color, and so I sent him our car. I sold our car to him and sent it to him. And he has it down there, and he still only has 3 miles on it.
Wow.
Then later on, we got the 2006.
And now a 3-mile car is 500?
Probably so.
Right.
Yeah. No, I
After that?
I got out of it too quick. Yeah, that was a whoops.
That's all right.
Again, you know, even Shelby, they had some pretty neat memorabilia and accessories and parts.
Love the tack in the box.
Yeah, Cobra box.
I've had several of those, but I never had one in the box. God, it's heavy.
Break your bike.
Oh, I don't want to break it. All right, let's look at the Mach 1.
Gary will tell the story on this one. He found it for us. Then it got the best award at the McCacken last year.
Yeah, the Time Capsule Award. So it's 95% original or better. And this, I'd say, is very close to 100%. Arvada, Colorado, the guy was so in love with the car. He bought this and a Ford truck at the same time. He only drove this primarily on the weekends and only in the daytime. So no rain, not even darkness. That's how much he really protected it. But even at that, he took it into the dealership one time he put a 428 emblem on the hood, which is the weirdest thing for a guy that kept this car this nice. But when he went in there to buy them, the guy at the dealership, the owner, wanted to buy the car. So then that really supercharged his determination to keep this car in this condition. So that's how it survived. We got the 428 emblems with the car. He just then at that point didn't end up doing that. So I don't know what he had going on, but it's an S-Code 390, which is a pretty cool combination.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it's tires, it's exhaust. I mean, there's nothing.
Original tires.
Oh yeah, yep.
Wow.
There's probably there's at least 4 cars in here with original tires. Wow. We're not going to get to look at it, but I mean, I can tell you from having handled it, the control arms or the drive shaft and the differential, I mean, it literally looks like they could have built this car just a week ago.
That's
It's
awesome.
incredible because Colorado has an incredibly dry climate. A lot of people think of snow and stuff, but I mean, we would have a normal humidity of maybe 15 or 20% or something like that. Things just don't sit around and rust here.
Right. Yeah, Wayne told me today, you have sunshine 300 days a year. I would have never guessed that.
Right.
I'm not very good at geography.
We need to keep that a secret.
Meteorology or whatever it is. That's fantastic. Red bread's awesome too.
But I mean, the Survivor cars, when you slam the door, when you sit in them, I mean, they just feel different than a restored car. I mean,
I agree.
jump in that one.
I don't want to sit it on. I appreciate it too much. I will shut the door. That's awesome.
As always, please
Like, tag, share, and follow, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next week.